All right, man. How goes it?
Goes pretty good, Pat. Back here at the barn. We're clear of the heinous summer weather, so turning into fall, and it's nice to be out here. So trying to spend as much time as I can.
Nice, man. The
Yeah.
rain has arrived here in
Uh,
Washington State. It's not raining at the moment, but we've had some torrential downpours recently, and that's what's on the horizon as well. So be
yep.
hunkered down in the garage using the air runner for the next few months.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
actually a
because
perfect segue into the topic for today.
it is. Yes, it's the talk of the town, old Hyrox. We're gonna chat all
Yeah.
about all about Hyrox here for a second, but before we get into that, let me just say, if you want to help support the program, go to variednotrandom.com. Check out all the different cycles that we offer. There's a whole bunch of programs and cycles set up to get your first strict pull up, kipping bar muscle up, ring dip, handstand walk, all kinds of stuff under that category. There's a bunch of capacity programs for all the barbell lifts that you could think of. There's endurance stuff. There's just a 12-week run, bike, row endurance thing. There's jump rope, all kinds of cool stuff. And then if you're a gym owner, btwb has you covered with their all-in-one that takes care of workout tracking, gym management, billing, all in one place, same software that all talks nicely to one another. Doesn't matter what kind of gym you own. If you're interested in that, go to btwb.com and check out the all-in-one. Okay, so today, Hyrox is going to be the topic, and before we get into that, we'll kind of cover what is it, what's it all about, and what's an actual what is it, what's the event, like a breakdown of the event, and then I guess the question is, as a somebody doing CrossFit training, can you do this thing? Do you have to do something different, specialized training? So that's going to be kind of the goal of the program. Anything to add before I dive into what I looked up the definition of, what is it?
No, not at all. I'm actually really curious because I do have a pretty decent understanding of what the thing is. But I mean, if somebody were to ask me to rattle off the reps and the distances, I wouldn't be able to do it. So glad that you've got that little summary. Yeah, that's a great starting point.
Okay, so when I put into the old interwebs, what is Hyrox? It says it's a global indoor fitness racing competition that blends endurance running with functional strength exercises designed to be accessible to athletes of all levels while providing a standardized, high stakes test of overall fitness.
High stakes.
The stakes
Yeah.
are high.
Well, there you go.
No, nobody wants low stakes or
No, I
medium
guess
stakes.
not. What's more
High,
motivating than high stakes, Pat?
high stakes. So that's what it is. And I think, one of the attractions of it is, that the goal is that hopefully whether you do one in, I don't know, London, England or Dallas, Texas, that
Yep.
it's the same. So you can say, this is what I did, this was my time. The event breakdown. So here's what it is. You have a bunch of 1 kilometer runs,
Hmm.
and there's 8 different like workout stations that you're going to go to. And now, pardon me, I can't remember which one this is. Oh, you do the run first. So it's a run, then a station, a run, then a station. And so, again, 8 workout stations and then 8 individual 1,000-meter runs. And here are the 8 stations in the order. Number 1, ski erg for 1,000 meters. Okay, then
Okay.
they'll take off on another run. Then the next station is a sled push. It's a 50-meter sled push. And it says there's 2 divisions, as far as I can tell, open division and a pro division. In the open division, the sled weighs 225 pounds, and in the pro division, it weighs 335 pounds. So it's a 50-meter sled push. Do another run, then a 50-meter sled pull, same weight, same sled. Another run, then you have 80 meters of burpee broad jumps. Another run, 1,000 meters of rowing. Another run, farmer's carry, 200-meter farmer's carry. That's a good carry. And that's carrying kettlebells. It looks like a pair for the open division, a pair of 35s, and for the pro division, a pair of 70-pound bells. Again, 200 meters. Another run. Then you do sandbag lunges for 100 meters. And the open division appears to be a 22-pound bag, and the pro division a 66-pound bag, again for 100 meters. another run, and then finally wall balls, your friend and mine, 100 repetitions. It says 100/75. So I don't know if that's 100 for men or 75 for women or what. I don't know why this is /75, but anyway. And then it says for the open division, it's a 13-pound ball. And for the pro
Hmm.
division, it just says that it's heavier. So my apologies for not having that exactly there, but you get the general gist. Ski erg, sled push, sled pull, burpee broad jumps, row, farmer's carry, weighted lunges, wall balls, and two and with 8 1,000-meter runs, so that comes out to 8,000 meters of running, which is just shy of 5 miles of running, 4.97 miles of running.
Cool.
So that's it. And generally speaking, it's going to take people depending upon what level of athlete you are. But I think if you're in like the 75-minute range, that's really good. 75 to 90 minutes is also probably considered pretty good. And I think a lot of people fall into like a 90-minute to 2 hours, like an hour and a half to 2 hours ballpark-ish range.
Yeah, right on. So it's a big old chipper. Or, I mean, honestly, it sounds a lot like a hero workout to me. That's kind of where my brain goes is, yeah, cool. It's kind of a kitchen sink approach to a test. Uh, Far out.
Yeah, again, I think it's popular for a lot of people because I think they're easy to find. I think
Yep.
they're all over the place, and
Oh, I'm sure it's a
depending up,
blast to do it with, get a friend together, get a group of people together, go see what you can throw at it. And like you
yeah,
said, it's something like any benchmark, really, that you can come back to a month from now, 6 months from now, year from now, and see how your training has served you, or whether or not you've improved. So yeah, sounds like fun.
and if people like to have something on the calendar that they're
Sure.
going to do,
Yep. Little time
individually
bound
as a
goal.
team or whatnot, and maybe if they've been, I think we've covered this in the past before.
Hmm.
Some people are just fine training. I'm training for life. I'm training to be fit. I'm training to play with my kids. I'm training to stay out of the doctor's office. Hey, do you have like a turkey trot that you're doing? Nope, I have nothing on the calendar. I walk into the gym every day because it's part of my life and I'm great. And then other people are like, nah, I like to know that I've got something on the horizon and that helps me walk into the gym. Like, cool. And I think this can serve that purpose really well. So then the question becomes, at first glance, this might seem wildly different than what a lot of people are doing, even though they might be like, yeah, I run and I row and yeah, I do wall balls and do burpees and we do lunges and things like that. But man, I couldn't tell you the last time I did a workout that took 90 minutes, or an hour and 45 or whatnot. And 5 miles of running. Hey, one of these things sounds fun. My friend wants to drag me into one in a couple of months. Do I need to do something extra to show up, or am I just going to get murdered, or can I show up and be, good to go? And so that's hopefully the question that we'll kind of dive into today.
Yeah, right on. I really think that, and excuse me, I'm playing around with my camera setting here. The tripod is not agreeing with me right now, so apologies for
Perfect.
that for people that are watching the YouTube version of this. A little distracting for me, but I think that the thing that stands out to me right away is just the volume of running. I think if people aren't accustomed to that, that would really be the only thing that I would say, hey, yeah, maybe you need to get a couple more sessions in there just to get comfortable with that amount of running in the session. But other than that, I mean, to me, I look at something like that and I ask, would the average CrossFitter who's been consistent in the gym for a reasonable period of time be able to step into that arena and complete the event? I see no reason why they wouldn't. Uh, in the same sense that, there's always kind of these dates on the calendar within the regular CrossFit community where there's a more extreme event or two. I can think of two right off the top of my head, and they both kind of revolve around that hero workout aspect. And that's, Murph in the spring and then Chad in the fall. Both of those are longer efforts. They're definitely going to take it out of you if you're not used to kind of that type of more endurance focused event. However, I don't think that, again, you're going to need to skew your training that much if all you're really interested in doing is throwing your hat in the ring and seeing how you stack up. Now, the conversation might change a little bit if you're saying, I want to be top of the heap. but that conversation changes for anything in which you want to be top of the heap.
Mhm.
So, so if we're talking about, hey, I just want to go do one of these things, I want to see what the hype is about, I want to have a good time with my friends, I wouldn't think twice about encouraging any of my members to just say, hey, go take a crack at it.
I think you hit on what to me is the crux of it, which is,
Mhm.
can you show up and do it, or do you want to perform extraordinarily well?
Sure.
You know, and because that's just a different deal. You know, and the training volume or the length of it, I think, is what maybe initially shocks people. Because I'm going to make some broad general assumptions here. Is if you've got a not somebody who it's their second week of CrossFit, right? But you don't have to be doing it 15 years either. You've been doing it a few years. You're consistent. You eat like you give a crap. You know what I mean? Like you're a wonderfully middle of the road CrossFitter. Average, unremarkable in every way, yet remarkable because you show up every day and do hard things. And so that in of itself gives you a skill set. Could you just go out and do a 5K? Man, I hope so. If you
Yeah.
can't, your whatever you're doing in the gym has failed you. Could you just walk out the door and do a 10K? Well, that's probably less common for gyms to program because of how long the effort takes. They might only have you for an hour, and there's going to be plenty of people that could take more than. You're not going to give me any time to warm up in any way, shape, or form. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's something which potentially gets neglected. But even if it's been neglected, in my opinion, if you've been doing good GPP, general physical preparedness training, you can most likely go out and knock out a 5K. You might be furious the entire time that you're doing it, and your body might feel a bit unique, but I bet you have the capacity to go out there and do it. Could you do it a lot faster? Yeah, if you train for it, but I would think you should have the capacity to do it. You get beyond that, hey, I want to do a half marathon. Hey, I want to do a marathon. Now you're probably in some neck of the woods. It's like, great, you've got a good base of fitness that you've built, but you're looking to do a marathon. Let's add some other things in there to stretch you out and to set you up for success as best as possible. I don't, and I think some people can make that leap with a Hyrox event. I don't make that leap in my mind.
Yeah,
In
I
my
don't
mind,
either.
if you're doing good GPP, you should be able to show up and do it. Will you be in the top 1%? Absolutely not. Will you be in the top 5%? Probably not. Will you go up there and be able to do it and have a good time? Yes, I think you absolutely should. So I'll pause there before I have a couple other thoughts on my head.
Yeah, I know. I'll push back a little bit on some things that you added there. Like, I don't think the average person really needs to prepare for like a half marathon if they've been consistently training with CrossFit. I think a 10K is totally reasonable. I get that they might not be doing that in the average class, but so what? I don't think that matters. I think the whole point of the GPP is that you have that capacity when you need to call on it. I think that when you get into like longer distances, like a marathon, we're getting a little off track. The specific requirements of that amount of pounding on your joints, it's a
Mhm.
good idea to maybe be a little bit more exposed. But as far as like, do you have the gas in the tank? I think that's a different story. And I'll give you a great example of something that's a little less technical and maybe less of a beatdown than running for that amount of time. But like, I wouldn't think that the average CrossFitter would have any reservation about picking up this weekend and doing a 4-hour hike with their friends.
Mhm.
Why would you
Hope
think
not.
twice about that? And in effect, I mean, I think that's what you're asking in terms of capacity that's similar to some of these longer events. And that's the same way I see this. It's like, man, if you're not prepared through your regular CrossFit training to go out and hike hard for like a couple hours, I think something's wrong with the programming, quite
Mhm.
frankly. Now, again, does that mean you're fastest up the mountain? Does that mean you're the best hiker specifically for that route? Maybe not, but I bet you're going to be leaps and bounds above the average person that is taking on that trail. And you probably don't need to be that specific in your training if you just want to be like pretty darn good. Um,
Mhm.
so I think even at like those longer distances, I almost, I'm not going to say it's inconsequential, um, but I am going to say like the whole point of GPP is that you got a lot of spill to other places that you haven't been. The whole point is that you don't have to train specifically for a thing and still have that capacity that's generally well developed. So
And I would say at an event like this, it would highlight the fact that you did go. Again, if you've been doing it for a few years, eat well, you're the average CrossFitter, that there is some sort of a failing there. And we're not going to get down a rabbit hole here, but maybe you have been biasing something.
Sure.
Maybe
Yep.
the Olympic lifting is going fantastic, and so is the powerlifting, and there's always just a short cookie that you do there at the end, and then you go out and figure you're going to do this, and you crash and burn. Like that's possible. In my mind, if you're doing what we all watching this show, I think considered, general physical preparedness, you'll be good to go. And, you know, I can think just back to like what you're touching on it, like the classic methodology was, was to some degree, I'm going to butcher it a bit, was, I'm going to outrun a lifter and outlift a runner. Like somebody who's just a dedicated runner, will they outrun me? Probably. Somebody who spends their life lifting, will they outlift me? Probably. But I'm going to be generally well. And that lifter, get around the track, I'm going to smoke him. Get that runner in the gym, I'm going to smoke that person. That the generalist should be able to go out there and this is, and do exactly what this is. So I would feel supremely confident saying that. And I can also say on the you know, on the Linchpin side of the house, I've interviewed members who have done Hyrox, who have
Yeah.
just showed up because they wanted to do it and they did it. So I can also just speak so from not having done it personally, spoken to real human beings that did, nothing additional in any way, shape, or form, showed up, did the event, and just, and had a blast with it. And of course, anything that you do, like we said, if you want to be exceptional at it, to just include your regular 5K. You can go out there and do a 5K. Do you want to do a sub 18-minute 5K?
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a
Now we're
different
cooking.
that's a different cup of tea right there, but you can
Yeah.
go do a 5K.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I think one of the more interesting things about like this whole kind of popularity around Hyrox is kind of twofold. Number one, like people love an outlet, and I think
Mhm.
that that's been shown over the years in a couple of different ways, whether it's Hyrox or obstacle course racing or rec league kickball or whatever. People like an outlet for their fitness, and I think that that is one of the healthiest things to do if you want to stay in the gym long term is find a way to express what you work so hard to do day in and day out. And so like if Hyrox serves that purpose for people that are members at your affiliate or people that are just engaging in CrossFit, then hey man, that is awesome. It's just one of many different things that somebody could take their general physical training and pour into and say, yeah, now I've got a little bit more structure or a checkpoint that gets me to that next 6 month mark or whatever. And maybe that changes year over year, but having that outlet I think is hugely beneficial, especially when you get a certain distance in the game and it's like, all
Mhm.
right, I've kind of come to terms with the fact that I got to be a lifer. It doesn't just you don't get to the point where you're like, well, I'm fit enough and that's it. I'm going to ride it into the sunset. It's like, no, you got sooner or later, you come to grips with the fact that you're like, well, I'm going to be doing this forever. Like, it's just that's
Mhm.
part of it. Okay, cool. So, how do I keep myself motivated? Well, this is one way that you can kind of add some fun to it. So, that's one big takeaway for me is like, hey, there's always going to be a new shiny thing that gets really in vogue for a while. Awesome. Encourage people to partake in it because the trickle down is that they get more motivated to train for that thing. And at the end of the day, that's what's important. Um, and then the second thing is that I think anytime you put yourself in a competitive arena, you will learn something about your fitness. And I've got a friend of mine in town who he's done one high rocks. He's got another one that he's fired up to do coming up here, I think in about a month or so. And what came out of his first one was he's like, man, I got to get better at running. And he's been on a
Mm.
dedicated, not, he's still doing CrossFit, but he's added a
Mhm.
lot more running into his programming. He's got kind of a little auxiliary program that he's doing for his running. He's sending us pictures of him out in the mornings doing his, like putting his homework in. And
Nice.
like, that's really cool to see, he did this event. It kind of exposed like, hey man, this was the weakness. This was clearly where he was struggling. Okay, what am I going to do about that? Well, let's shore that up for next time. Awesome. I mean, that's a really great thing, no matter how you slice it. And I think that any competition, if you're willing to take that feedback that it gives you, will offer you that kind of new perspective on, okay, where can I go in the future that's going to benefit me?
Yep. No, 100%. And when I was crunching the numbers for this, I added up the 8 1,000-meter runs, and then I, said, okay, 8,000 meters, what is that in miles? And it kicked out 4.97. I was like, 4.97. It's such a unique number. I'm like, that like rings a bell with me. And then I was like, I saw on my desk this little thing we just have from um,
Hey,
once a year we do a test 13 Linchpin test 13 challenge, and we just did it in September. We do it every September. We have for like 3 or 4 years, and it comes out to 4.97 miles of running. It's 400-meter run, 20 burpees, 400-meter run, 19, 400-meter run, 18, all the way down to 400-meter run, 1 burpee. Well, that comes out to 8,000 meters of running, same deal, and 210 burpees. And the great part is that you do it in a weight vest. So it's not just
oh,
the
of
running,
course.
it's a
Why wouldn't you?
20-pound vest for men, and a whole bunch of people who just train regularly and don't regularly run 5 miles in a weight vest, and don't regularly do 210 burpees in a weight vest, just signed up and did it. And of course, it's, great photos and like smoked at the end, but they all did it. And it
Yeah.
takes,
Yep.
and it's actually like around a 90-minute um, time domain ish for a lot of people. And so I feel, again, from all the other data points that I have and knowing individuals who personally have showed up with no additional training, I feel just really, really confident saying that, wherever you're going and you're giving somebody an hour of your day for them to give you fitness, you should be able to pursue one of these events if you want to and make it across the finish line and high five your buddies at the end. If it's something you want to take more seriously or identify some weaknesses for you, fantastic. But you should be able to do it and go have some fun.
Yeah, no argument for me. I think that's exactly right. And I'm always going to be the one that tries to drag it back to like a more philosophical conversation. I'm a big picture guy, Pat. In my mind, that is the big picture. Is like, hey, if at your heart you are truly interested in CrossFit and the ideas behind it, the big idea is that you are capable of a broad range of things, and you don't need to train specifically for those things to be capable. And that's the whole
Hmm.
point of the methodology is that, hey, we're going to take the best of the best. We're going to gain as much broad fitness as we can so that even if you've never been there before, you're going to be just fine. That's the whole idea. And so, whether it's Hyrox, whether it's taking up a new sport, whether it's revisiting something that you've done in your past after a couple of decades of a hiatus, the whole point is that you should be relatively prepared to do that thing. How far you take it from there and how much you choose to specifically dive into that thing, well, that's up to you and your goals. But the baseline for getting you to the start shouldn't be anything that you got to worry about. The whole point.
100%. I think that's all from me.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's fun. I don't know. I don't know if I got the gumption to give one a crack these days, Pat. It's a lot of running for me. Uh, I think given the opportunity on a Saturday to have 90 minutes to do something physical, I'd probably not make that my first choice. But hats off to people that are, heading into to put themselves on the line. I think it's cool.
Yeah, fair enough. And I'm sure there's going to be some people watching or listening to this that have done one. So I'm curious if you have done one and you're a CrossFitter. Let us know in the comments, like, how did it go? Did you have to do anything extra? What were your lessons learned? The whole 9 yards and all that good stuff. Because you know what? Running is cool. And so, and if you have ideas for
Pat said that totally non-ironically.
any of that stuff, leave those in the comments. Find the Very Not Random Instagram account, post a public comment there, send a direct message if you want to be more anonymous. And we read all those and they help drive the program forward. So for Adrian Bosman, I'm Pat Sherwood, and we will see you next time.